we go again.
Let's get ready for takeoff!
And we are back on the road to glory. Another week closer to kickoff. What are we like 6 days away now? Less than a week away until we get some week zero, some college football. Man, I couldn't be any more excited. And I know, Steph, you feel the same way. What's the vibes? How we feeling? Welcome back to the show, brother.
I'm feeling good, man. We got less than a week until CFB gets here, so days are running short for real.
They really are. And it's going to be fun to talk about some actual football. No more predictions, no more what if talk. We're going to let it all play out and see where it lays, and see what happens. What we're going to get into today, we're going to get into the SEC tier list, continuing our tier list series. Going to do the SEC, and then we're going to wrap up with the Big Ten, probably some point earlier on in this week. And then, like we promised, we'll do our conference championship picks, our playoff picks, and our week zero breakdown. Talk about those games as well. There's only a handful of games, not that many, but a couple good ones, a couple interesting games, especially in the Big 12. So, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's focus in on this SEC tier list. So, like we've been saying, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers. S tier, those are teams that we expect to be in the playoffs, pretty firmly competing for a national title, and should be one of the favorites to win the conference. A tier is someone that could challenge to win the conference and should be pushing for a playoff spot, but may not be a favorite or a bona fide top team. B tier is a team that, about 7, 8 wins, 9 wins, good solid season, should be well above bowl eligibility, potentially a sleeper playoff team. And the C tier is teams that we think are going to be average, mid, 6-6, pushing bowl eligibility. And then D tier, teams we don't believe will go bowling at all. And let's start off with the defending SEC champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. My arch nemesis is Kirby Smart, the Fighting Kirby Smarts. And I feel like for the past 2-3 years now, we've been saying, well, if this is the year that you're going to get them, right? You got to do it this year. And every single year, they
Mm-hmm.
just continue to win. So honestly, as we break down this team, I really don't expect much to change. I want to say they have a huge question mark at quarterback when it comes to Gunnar Stockton. Obviously, we got to see some of him last year, but it wasn't necessarily good what we saw. It was enough to help them get to the SEC championship game when Carson Beck went down, and win it. But I think a lot of that was on that defense that Georgia always has. I think the running game, obviously bringing back Nate Frazier, Chauncey Bowens, redshirt freshman, Cash Jones coming back as well, should be another solid room for Georgia, as that position is always loaded. The receivers, that's where I think there's a little bit of a question mark. I think uh, obviously Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp, that tight end duo, that tight end room is one of the best in the SEC, one of the best in the country, period. It seems like Georgia's a tight end factory recently. And same goes for their offensive line and defensive line. I don't expect either of those units to miss a beat. Um, I think their secondary took a little bit of a step back last year, but KJ Bolden coming back this year, um, as well as adding what's his face, Adrian Maddox and Jaden Harris in the transfer portal. I think this should be a much better unit coming up into this year. All in all, I think Georgia's still Georgia. I think they're gonna punch you in the mouth up front on both sides of the ball, and then just hope that their quarterback can just manage the game, not make mistakes, and make the throws. I will say, talent wise, I don't think they're uber talented or like super more talented than any other of the top teams in the SEC, but Georgia's Georgia, and I guess they're S tier until they're not.
Yeah, man. I mean, they won the conference last year, so and they've won two recent national championships. They've always been in the mix for the national championship the past 5 years. So Yeah, they got to be S tier. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Now it seems like they're not going to be as dominant as they were in the past towards the end of the 14 playoff era, but it's still Kirby Smart. They still recruit at a very high level. They still get great players in the transfer portal. I mean, as long as this regime is ran the way it is, they're always going to be one of those top teams in the conference. So I got to keep them in the S tier.
for sure. Looking at their schedule too, nothing that definitely a tough schedule. At Tennessee, at Auburn, uh, two games that should be winnable for them. I think they're more talented than both of those teams. I think they're more well put together, a better coach team than both of those teams. But I think Auburn and Tennessee are definitely looking to prove a lot of people wrong and will be up for that game in their stadiums. Those are two crazy environments. I mean, Rocky Top and Bryant Denny Stadium. Not Bryant Denny. Sorry about that, Auburn fans. Jordan Hare. Yeah. I'll also say they play Texas and Florida and Georgia Tech. Obviously, they're probably a tier above Florida and Georgia Tech as well. But both of those games are neutral sites, I believe. And obviously, that Texas game, they get them at home, but that's going to be a wild game. Same with Alabama. They get Alabama at home as well. Those would be two tough games. Think they lost both of them last year? No, they beat Texas, lost Alabama, right?
Georgia?
Georgia.
Yeah. And they beat Texas in the SEC championship.
Right. But then they played Texas in the regular season as well.
Yeah, and they beat them.
Sheesh. Speaking of Texas, I guess that's the next team that we can power rank here. I think, um, although you just mentioned Georgia beat them twice last year, I think a lot of people probably view Texas as the favorite coming into the season. I think they're the odds-on favorite, not just to win the SEC, but maybe to win the national championship, according to the odds makers. And I can see why. I mean, they're pretty loaded at all positions. Steve Sarkisian has continued to prove that he is one of the top coaches in this league, in this entire country. Obviously, Arch Manning is a bit of a question mark as he hasn't had any major snaps yet, but from what we've seen from him in high school and then the flashes we've seen from him so far in his career at Texas, um, there's nothing that makes anybody or makes me feel like they're going to skip a beat. If anything, I think he'd probably be a bit of an improvement from a guy like Quinn Ewers. So once he gets some more games under his belt, some real game reps, I think this Texas team is going to be as dangerous as any team in the country. I don't really know um, what what team can really stop them week one. Now, obviously, as the season progresses, we'll see. I've heard some mumblings about their offensive line, struggling a little bit in training camp and stuff. But I think a lot of that is they're playing against a really good D line every day in practice that Texas has. So I don't know. I think Texas is clear S tier as well. Um, but I don't know if they're the favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put Texas in S tier as well. They did play in the ACC championship last year, won a playoff game in controversial fashion, but they did make the playoffs, win a playoff game. Um, did
And
they
I mean,
win
they
two
were kind
playoff
of in it
games?
to win for the Natty too. It wasn't like
Did they
they got
win
blown
two
out the
playoff
water.
games?
Yeah,
Because
they
they
played in the
played
Natty.
against.
They played against Penn.
No, they
They
played
played against
against.
Arizona State in round one.
And didn't they play against Clemson?
Clemson in
Who
round
did-
two, or Clemson in
No.
round one, and then Arizona State in round two.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. No, Clemson played SMU at one
No, Penn
point.
State played SMU
Oh
in
yes,
round one.
Clemson played SMU in the ACC championship game. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah. So I mean, look, we know Texas is going to be in the mix. Um, it's just about if they can win the conference and make it farther than they did last year. Because even though they did lose the SEC championship last year, it was really close. And like I said, they ended up winning two playoff games, and they were right there. They were in semis. They could have went to the Natty. So, and that game against Ohio State really came down to one play, in my opinion, that screen before half that Travion Henderson took the distance for the touchdown. So
Yeah,
I think this team is right there. It just depends on how the ball bounces sometimes, and yeah, they're gonna be S tier. They did lose one of their starting tackles to injury, so that's gonna be something to
yeah,
monitor.
that is gonna for sure.
Um, I don't know how much that's going to affect them. Usually, when you hear about a starting tackle go down, it's devastating to a team's season. But I mean, we've seen teams like Michigan lose a tackle during the season. Notre Dame last year losing a tackle during the
I
season,
think
and
Michigan
they
lost
was
their center at one point too during their run to the
yeah.
Natty.
So um, if they have somebody beyond him that they can still play, or they got to shuffle some things around, and they'll still be good. I mean, I'm not worried about them in 90% of the games. It's just against Georgia,
Right.
Alabama, teams like that where they're going to be competing for the SEC title and in a playoff scenario. That's really what I'm worried about is can they beat those kind of teams? So that's definitely going to be
Yeah.
something to monitor.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
they're gonna get
they got
tested
to do
right
it.
away. I mean, August 30th, we all know the game that's been previewed, number one versus number two in the coaches poll. Ohio State uh, plays host to Texas. Texas goes on the road, so we're gonna learn a lot about Texas week one. We're gonna have to learn a lot about them week one because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the defending national champions right there. Then they go to Florida. They get Oklahoma, obviously in Dallas. They go to Kentucky, to Mississippi State. Should watch those games pretty easily. They get Vanderbilt at home, but then they go to Georgia, and then they finish Arkansas and Texas A&M at home. So, couple tough road games there at Ohio State, at Florida, at Georgia. Um, yeah, a lot of teams are good defensive lines too, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on what that offensive line is able to do. But again, I don't. Texas recruits so well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really worried about it. Let's continue to talk about the top of the SEC with Alabama. Um, moving into what is this, year two or three for KDB?
Two.
Year two for Kalen DeBoer um, as the head coach. Obviously, last year, maybe not necessarily the year that a lot of people expected for Alabama, but still a solid year. I think this year, though, they're primed to really take that next step and reascend back to the top of the SEC here. I think they're a pretty solid roster. I think the quarterback position, obviously, a little bit like Georgia and a little bit like Texas, is a bit of a question mark with Ty Simpson becoming the starter. Obviously, for those of you that follow the SEC and follow college football, you've heard Ty Simpson. I mean, he has played before. He's been around college football now for quite some time. I think he's a I don't know if he's a true junior or a redshirt junior, but I think this is third and maybe his fourth year in the program so far.
I think it's
Looks
his
like he
fourth year. I'm pretty sure he was a class of 22
okay.
player.
Yeah. So he beats out Austin Mack, who came over um, in the transfer portal, and Keelan Russell, who's a pretty talented five-star quarterback from last year's class. Um, but yeah, outside of that, I think this roster at the running back position, at the wide receiver, up front, on both ends, on the back end, in the secondary specifically, even the linebackers, I think they're just a. This is Alabama is still Alabama, and I think this team is going to remind a lot of people that maybe thought because they lost to Vandy last year, and yeah, they weren't in the SEC championship game, that they might not be the same Alabama as the Nick Saban era, and I don't think they will be. I think there still will be obvious differences between between the program, between the two head coaches, but I think Alabama has still consistently recruited at the top mark in the country, so they're going to have some of the most talent in the country. Ryan Grubb is coming back from the NFL to rejoin Coach Kalen DeBoer as his offensive coordinator, so the offense is going to be cooking. And with the athletes they have on defense, Keon Sabb, um, Xavier Brown, LT Overton, James Smith, Quay Russaw, Deontay Lawson, those are all guys that are going to play in the NFL one day. Um, so yeah, I think Alabama, honestly, I think they're probably better than Georgia this year, and they're S tier in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Alabama's in the S tier as well. They did win the league. What was that? 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, they were still right there in the mix. They did have probably the worst regular season we've seen since what Nick Saban's first year there, which was like 16 years ago. So I mean that was a little bit of a disappointment, but this team recruits at a super high level. I think their defense is going to be crazy. I think their offense is going to be at least serviceable enough. Another year in Kalen DeBoer's system. They got Ryan Grubb back, which I think is going to be, well, not back, but Kalen DeBoer got Ryan Grubb back. Um, so I think they're gonna be better on offense, even if it might not be as flashy. With not having a quarterback like Jalen Milroe, but I think they will be more efficient. I think they're gonna be able to throw the ball better. You get Ryan Williams back for another year. I think this team is going to just perform better all around. Again, another year with the culture, another year of high-ranked recruits. I expect a record better than 9-3 this year. Whether they go 12-0 or
For sure.
something like that, I mean that remains to be seen. But I think it's safe to say that they're gonna go at least 10-2. I don't know exactly what their schedule is, but I know they play Georgia. I'm not really worried about the Florida State game. Um, so yeah, I gotta put them in S tier.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about their schedule at Florida State to open up the year, like you mentioned. Um, you know, I don't think they really should be worried about that game, but Florida State is spending all off season prepping for Alabama. Like that's their, you know what I mean. So that could be a little bit of an interesting game. Florida State's opening up their new renovated Doak Campbell Stadium. I think that's gonna, like you mentioned. We don't think. I think we put Florida State in the C tier. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna predict them to win that game, but I do think it'll be a little close. But then they play Wisconsin at home. They spanked them last year at their place, so shouldn't be much there. But like you said, they go to Georgia in week 6. They go to Missouri 2 weeks later. I think Missouri is a little bit of a sleeper team. They get Tennessee at home, but then they go to
Um,
South Carolina.
I'm sleeping on Missouri. We'll get to that, but I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why, and again, I'm not going to predict them to do nothing crazy, but I think Missouri's a little bit decent. Um, then they get LSU, Oklahoma, and then at Auburn. So this is a tough schedule for Alabama. I'm not going to lie; they play a lot of the big names and the big teams here in the SEC. But I agree. I think they get that 10-win, 11-win mark regardless. I think they're just too good. As long as their quarterback, um, they can figure out like one of these three guys to be the quarterback. I think they'll be fine. I don't know if Ty Simpson will be the guy to start and finish the year, but I at least think one of these three guys will be good enough by the end of the year. Somebody will rise to the occasion. Um, let's talk about Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a team that has made a lot of changes here in the transfer portal. None bigger than the quarterback position, bringing in John Mateer, who exploded in the college football world last year with what he was able to do. Now he comes over to the SEC to try to kind of follow in that Cam Ward path. And I mean, from what I've seen, this guy can ball. I believe the hype for the most part. I think he's a good player. Um, and I think Oklahoma does have the weapons on the outside. I think what a lot of people forget, and I mean, we talked about it a lot last year in the moment, but thinking back on it, I think their top 5 wide receivers were hurt like all throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And any program, you lose your top 5 guys. I mean, no matter how well you recruit, you're not gonna really be working with much there. And I think getting a lot of those guys back healthy, um, Burks, Gibson, they return. Um, I think that's just gonna add a lot more firepower and explosiveness to that Oklahoma offense because last year that offense was putrid. It was just hard to watch. Had no identity, didn't know what it wanted to do. Couldn't move the ball through the air, couldn't move the ball on the ground. And I think this year they're going to be a lot better on both sides of that. I mean, they bring over Jaden Knott as well from Cal. He's one of the most explosive running backs in the country. Could take any carry to the house at any moment. So, I think Oklahoma is going to be fine on the offense side of the ball. And I think on the defense side of the ball, they've been okay. Their defense has kept them in some games throughout Brent Venables' career here at Oklahoma as the head man. But I think that offense really needs to take that next step, and it'll be interesting to see if they can. Uh, Only thing that's holding me back with Oklahoma is obviously kind of like Florida. Their schedule's pretty tough, pretty tough. They get Michigan week 2 and Auburn week 4. Both of those games are at home. They get Texas obviously in Dallas. Then they have to travel to South Carolina. They get Ole Miss at home, and then they're to Tennessee. So that's a tough four-game stretch right there. And then they end the year at Alabama, Missouri at home, LSU at home. So not an easy stretch. Where's your head at with Oklahoma?
I'm gonna have to put them in the B tier. Um, they did what in 3 years under Coach Venables? They went 6-6, 10-2. The last year in the Big 12, and then they went 6-6 regular season in the SEC. Um, like you said, a lot of injuries, tough schedule. They have a tough schedule again. I think this team recruits at a high enough level to be in the SEC, but I also think there's potential. And a lot of people might be saying this as like a joke or to make fun of them, but there's potential for them to be the new Nebraska of the SEC. Just that team with a lot of history and a crazy fan base and money, but they can just never really put together and
Breakthrough.
yeah, like a really good season to keep them relevant on the field. So I think this season is going to tell us a lot. I do worry about this team though slipping because you're bringing in John Mateer with the coordinator, which is a positive, I think. But if you actually look at his stats and how he played against G5 teams versus some of the better competition that Wazoo played last year, I mean it's like night and day. So I know he's gonna have SEC caliber players around him, and I know he had Group of Five players around him last year. But I don't know. Like I don't really want to come to strong conclusions about this team because there's just so much new, so much we don't know. I think there's a lot stacked against them, and even if this team does improve, they might not have much of a better record just because of how tough that schedule is. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this team, and yeah, like I don't really know, but I'm gonna have to put them in the B tier. I do think they're a consistent. Well, they are a consistent bowl team, and I think they're going to be going forward, at least in the SEC. But I don't know if they're going to be like they were in the Big 12, basically cranking out 11-1 seasons year after year. So, um, yeah, for right now, I'm going to have to put them in B tier because I don't think they're going to stink and be 5-7 or 4-8, something like that. But yeah,
I can agree. Let's continue along with the team in a similar quarterback situation. Another top quarterback returning here in the SEC, Garrett Nussmeyer. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because I don't know if I truly believe that. I think he's really just okay. Um, I think he's probably better than your average quarterback. Um, but I don't, I don't, I don't love LSU's offense to be honest. I think they're gonna run the ball well. I really like Carlin Berry, the running back that I think they're gonna feature a lot this year. But out on the outside, I mean, LSU always feels like they produce wide receivers, so I feel like this is gonna be a take that comes and bites me in the ass. But like, there's no guys right now that I'm really thinking about going into the year when it comes to LSU on the outside. Like, and again, I'm sure they have guys that are gonna break out and make me eat my words, but I don't really know. And on the defensive side of the ball, they've been so bad these past few years. Last year, obviously, a bit of an improvement. I think this year they finally are going to be able to figure it out, just getting enough talent. But Harold Perkins playing star is a head scratcher to me still. Just feels like that's one of the most talented guys in the entire country, and they just haven't really allowed him to play up to his full potential. And I think if he does get there, he's going to be a game wrecker and a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and we're all going to be talking about him. But yeah, I think LSU is an A tier team. I think they're good enough to compete and maybe potentially be in Atlanta for that SEC championship game. But I need to be convinced a little bit more when it comes to their offense. I do.
yeah, I agree with you. Being, I agree with you on the tier and how you feel about Nuss. Like I don't really get the hype at all around this dude.
Yeah.
Whenever I watch him play, like I get the arm talent thing, but to me, if you're not throwing the ball to the right places, if you're turning the ball over, which he does a lot, I don't like those kind of quarterbacks. I like efficient quarterbacks. I don't like when quarterbacks turn the ball over. I don't want to see any interceptions, any fumbles, anything like that. And I just think that LSU under Brian Kelly is that team that just can't play up to their potential. They're going to be in the mix for the SEC championship. They're going to make a bowl game, but in terms of playoffs, they're always going to disappoint in that area, in my opinion, under Brian Kelly. So, and now it's a 12-team playoff. So, and I still don't think they're going to make it this year. Honestly, I think this season is going to flop. I think this is going to be a disappointment. You're right about Harold Perkins. Like, how has this guy been there all this time? I know he was injured, but he just seems like a non-factor um, on this defense. So I just don't really
Yeah.
understand like what's going on in this building. Like you said, they seem to crank out wide receivers. Um, I don't understand how they have all this talent but still can't put together a 10-win regular season, make the playoffs, 12-team playoffs, and you have all this talent, all this hype. So I'm kind of tired of it. I'm tired of Brian Kelly. If I was an LSU fan, I would be super tired because it's the same nonsense every year. You're gonna go 9-3. You're gonna miss the playoffs. You're not gonna go to the SEC title game, and you're just gonna be stuck in that rut. So, um, I just I got to keep them in B tier because we know they're gonna be solid. They're always a team you have to play well to beat. But as
Yeah,
far as
like Aaron
SEC
Anderson.
championship
Go ahead. Sorry.
playoffs, no.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. They're a weird team, like you said, because of the coach Brian Kelly. They can really be one of two things. Like they really could be beat the Alabamas, beat the Georgias, beat the Texas, but they can also lose to Mississippi. They could lose to
Yeah,
South Carolina. They could lose to
like the way the media talks about Brian Kelly, it just boggles my mind. I'm like, this dude has never been able to play it up to it, has never been able to use the team's full potential. He left Notre Dame because apparently you can't recruit, and then Marcus Freeman comes in there and has better recruiting classes than him. Like
and goes to a national championship
it
game.
goes to a national championship. Like what are we even talking about? He's been doing better than you ever did at Notre Dame, and you're at LSU with more resources and less academic requirements, and you still can't put together a playoff season. Come on, bro. You had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, but y'all defense was so bad that it costed y'all a playoff appearance. Like this whole thing is just a joke to me. Like I just don't understand how stuff like this continues to happen year after year at a place like LSU. I just don't understand. When if you're supposed to be the upper echelon of college football, which they are in my opinion, LSU has multiple national championships in my lifetime. But I'm talking about under Brian Kelly. Like this team has just been disappointment after disappointment. There's always a few bright spots. They're gonna have players get drafted high. They're gonna have players put up a lot of stats. But as a team, accomplishing the goals of winning a conference, making the playoffs, they just can't seem to do it. So they're gonna have to stay in the B tier for me. Or no, A tier, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I'm preparing myself for disappointment this year when it comes to LSU. I don't get the hype. They great in CFB 26 though, great video game team, but that's because Brian Kelly don't coach in a video game. That's the player coaching. So real
Let's
life,
run through the
not as
schedule
much.
because it is a little bit tough. They open obviously up at Clemson week 1, so right off the rip, they're gonna have to be ready. Then just 2 weeks later, week 3, they host Florida, another team that a lot of people are looking to maybe surprise some folks. Then they go to Ole Miss 2 weeks after that in week 5 before they get a bye week, and then they play South Carolina at home, travel to Vandy, and then play A&M at home before they get another bye and their stretch at Alabama, home for Arkansas, Cupcake, and then at Oklahoma to end out the year. So some tough games at Clemson, at Ole Miss, at Oklahoma, at Alabama. Obviously, we saw Vanderbilt knock off Alabama when they came to Nashville last year, so never could write that one off either. And then home games against Florida, A&M. Um, Not an easy slate. If they're pretenders, we're going to find out. That is a fact. Um, let's keep moving forward, though. Let's talk a little bit about Texas A&M, because this is another team that I just don't know if I'm buying a lot of the hype for. I mean, I just don't love their quarterback position. Like Marcel Reed, I mean, he's not horrible. He's flashed, but can you really go a consistent season with him being your quarterback? And then on the outside, they have KC Concepcion, who I think is super dynamic and electric, but he's is he a number one wide receiver? And then the other starting wide receivers are all is another redshirt freshman and Mario Craver, a three-star sophomore who actually has played well, but I just I really don't love the wide receiver room right now. Um, I think they're gonna have to be a ground and pound kind of team, which has been Mike Elko's I guess identity. So maybe I'm missing out on that, and if they play to his identity, play to how he wants to coach, they're gonna be good. But everybody has good trenches in the SEC. Like you have to be explosive, you have to be able to score fast. And I don't know if Texas A&M is necessarily built for that. Like if you get up a touchdown, if you get up 10 points on Texas A&M, like you probably feel pretty good. Like they're not really a threat to mount big comebacks, 14, 21 point comebacks, and I think that's dangerous, especially when you're playing against teams like Alabama, Texas, who could score on you in in a blink of an eye. You play Florida this year, another team with DJ Lagway who could just take the top off of you and they could have 7 points on the board, and now you have to answer. So I
Ooh, a
just don't
QB
know.
like DJ Lagway, really?
Nah,
I just think it's
DJ
funny you
Lagway's not better
mentioned.
than Nate
Look,
Moore.
I just think it's funny you mentioned DJ Lagway of all people. Out of
No,
all the
no, we have
quarterbacks,
question marks about DJ. We're gonna get to Florida too because he's also a question mark, just like all the other quarterbacks so
look, I'm
far
just saying. I
we've
think it's
talked
funny
about.
you mentioned him.
Yeah, yeah, but he has a good deep ball, and he's a quarterback that likes to throw the ball deep. So he was a good example to use in that scenario.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know Texas A&M. I don't love them. I don't love them. I think they're a B tier kind of team.
I mean, they're the Kings of 8-4,
Yeah,
so
I
I
think
am
they're eight
gonna
wins,
I,
nine
I
wins
am gonna
again.
put them in the B tier as well. Like you said, there's questions about Marcel Reed. I mean, at media days, he said he can throw, so I don't know.
I mean,
I don't-
I mean,
hey,
I've seen
he
some
said
clips
it.
on the timeline. So,
He said
and
he
I've
can
also
throw.
seen film from last year. So, you know,
Hey, I
a
mean,
lot of people
according
say
to
a
him,
lot of
is
things.
New Year, new me. New Year, new me.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So I mean, we gonna see, but yeah, I'm gonna put them in the B tier. I think their defense is always gonna be good under Mike Elko. Casey Concepcion is a really good player. I think they're gonna be fine at wide receiver. It's just like you said, can Marcel Reed throw the ball? That's it. We know he can run the ball. Can he throw the ball? So we're gonna see. But until they end up being a 10-win team consistently, they're gonna have to be in the B tier because they always go bowling. It's just that they can never really take that next step as a team.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I think they. I don't know. I don't know what people see. Let's take a look at their schedule though. At Notre Dame, week 3. Then they get a home stretch of Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida before they travel to Arkansas and to LSU in back-to-back weeks. Then to close out the year, they go at Missouri, home for South Carolina, and then at Texas to end the year. So manageable schedule, nothing that really jumps off the screen. Obviously, they got to go at Notre Dame, at Texas, at LSU. It's 3 super tough games, but um, outside of that, they should be, even or favored in most of the other games. So we'll see what Texas A&M does, but I don't expect them to really compete for the SEC this year. Next, my Florida Gators. Um, got our 8 wins last year, 7 wins in the regular season, 8 including the bowl game. Billy Napier was able to save his job, um, bringing back a whole bunch of players from last season. I think the key to Florida this year is going to be their trenches, and I think this is the strongest the trenches have ever been. Um, not ever been, but have been ever been for Billy Napier and have been in a long time. Obviously, bringing first team All American, the top center back in the country, Jake Slaughter, Austin Barber over at tackle was another guy that was probably going to be a draft pick. He decided to come back, and then we return uh, the other all the other guys are returning starters or have been with the program. Obviously, we mentioned DJ Lagway, super dynamic, super high ceiling. He's been injured a lot, so he has to stay healthy. He has to stay on the field because obviously your best ability is your availability. So we'll see if he's able to stay healthy. He's not healthy right now. Got a calf issue, got some shoulder stuff he's working with. So that's to be determined. But Florida's running back room, Florida's wide receiver room, up there with the best of it in the SEC. Jaden Ball, Jacoby Jackson, two of the best running backs, if not the best running back duo in the SEC. Out at wide receiver, Eugene Wilson brought over uh, J. Michael Sturdivant from UCLA. Also, a couple freshmen, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown. Defensive line, especially at the edge position, is pretty loaded. I think defensive tackle, the starters are good, but the depth is a concern. We'll see. I think if we get some injuries in the middle of our D line, that's going to cause some issues for us. The linebacker room is pretty incredible, and our secondary should be strong too. So I like Florida this year. Honestly, I think this is definitely the best team we've had so far. Um, Insane schedule, obviously toughest schedule in the country, so that puts a little bit of a damper on what maybe can be achieved. But I think if Florida wins 9 games this year, um, they maybe potentially could sneak into that final playoff spot. Who knows? I like Florida for definitely 8 wins, maybe 9. At LSU, at Miami, um, back to back before they get a bye week and go on the stretch of Texas at Texas A&M. Um, then they get Georgia, uh, neutral site before they go to Kentucky and to Mississippi back to back weeks, and then they end the season with Tennessee and Florida State at home. So I like Florida probably in the B tier. I think they potentially have a chance to be in that A tier, but still got a lot to prove on the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna put y'all in that B tier. I think you guys have been trending upwards. You know, just another year under the culture of Billy Napier, another year of a great recruiting class. DJ Lagway is returning. And we know he's the guy that has so much talent. He could take this team as far as he plays. So,
Yeah,
I think Florida is a team that has the potential to really shock the world this season and maybe even have like an 11-1 type of record and
yeah.
maybe even win the league, or they have or they can fall
He
flat on
gets
their
hurt,
face
and then we get
and end
yeah.
up, even if he doesn't get hurt. I think this team could go 7-5 and
Mm.
just completely flop, and then we're talking about if Billy Napier should be fired in the future.
And that's a little bit of a hot take. I think if he's healthy, I think we're gonna win a lot of games. I think our defense maybe, if anything, if they were like really that bad, maybe there's a chance that we go 7 wins with DJ Lagway healthy. But I think if our defense is just average and DJ Lagway is healthy, I don't know. Maybe I'm hyping him up too much because I'm a Gator fan, but I think we'll. I think head to head, when you look at all the quarterbacks in the SEC, we've been talking about all these teams having question marks. And again, DJ Lagway, you look at his stats last year; they're not pretty. Let's be real. He was at like 50%, 55% completion, 12 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Um, but I mean, every single game that he started and he finished, Florida won. The only game that he lost that he started was a game that he didn't finish against Georgia, and we were up in that game.
Yeah,
And
y'all should have
again,
won that game.
we should have probably won that game if we were. I mean, we were in it in the fourth quarter. We almost won that game with our backup quarterback. So, I think as long as our defense isn't the worst defense of all time, like LSU 2023 horrible or Florida 2020 horrible, I think we'll be good. Now, if DJ Lagway misses some games, he misses some time, that can cause some issues because our backup quarterback is a former walk-on. Our third string quarterback is a true freshman. Our other quarterback that is fighting for a spot in the rotation is Harrison Bailey, who's been at Tennessee, who's been at Louisville, so he's like a bit of a journeyman. So We don't got many options behind DJ Lagway right
I
now.
mean, you could say that about any team though. Like if the quarterback
That's
gets
true.
hurt, I mean the season is kind of over.
It's kind of cooked. No, that's absolutely true. So I don't want to overstate that, but I think it's a little bit more prevalent when discussing Florida because I mean that's what we've seen with DJ Lagway so far. I mean he just
Right.
even when he's played through it, it's just after every game you hear reports of him doing this and that, and it's like, and he's a tough kid. I'm not questioning his toughness at all because again, the last half of the season he played on one leg. His hamstring was fried last year, and his shoulder was cooked too. And he went out there and he played and he won every game and he performed. But um, we need you healthy. And I think for everybody who's been hearing all the offseason reports with him not practicing and this and that, I think that's all calculated. I think that's all precautionary. I think he is like if we had to play Georgia on Saturday, he would be suiting up to play. But when especially with a calf injury, when we saw Tyrese Halliburton in the playoffs, we see it all the time, not just in football, but again in the NBA and all these sports, these calf injuries that people think they can play through turn into Achilles, and you know what happens when you hurt your Achilles. So definitely want to avoid any of that, any unnecessary pressure on that calf, on that Achilles, and I think he'll be ready for the season. And I think our offensive line again is going to be a strength. Should probably be one of the top three units or top three offensive lines in the in the SEC. I think they'll keep him upright. I think he's mobile enough. I think people forget about that. Last year, he wasn't running the ball because he was hurt. This year, he's going to be running the ball. You're going to see a whole another level to his game just open up. Um, kid's good. I think he has the potential to be the best player, best quarterback in the country. Potential. He's not there yet, but maybe by the end of the year, by next year or something, we'll see. All right. Spent a lot of time talking about Florida. Let's keep it moving. Talk about Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an interesting team. Obviously, we all know about that $20 million roster from last year. Kind of went all in with Walter Nolan. What's buddy's name? Jackson Dart. Remember Trey Harris. Just a whole bunch of guys. And they were really good last year. Unfortunately, Florida ended their season. But
Yeah,
they
old
were
piss.
they were a pretty solid team last season, and honestly, I kind of expect them to be a little bit of the same this year. I think obviously they lost a lot of players, but they brought in a boatload again. I mean, Lane Kiffin is like the transfer portal god, and then their quarterback coming into this year, Austin Simmons, he's a true sophomore. He was a Florida recruit. He was actually committed to Florida before he flipped to Ole Miss, and he played a little bit against. No, he played against Georgia. I think that was, and I think he's a good quarterback, a really good quarterback, and I think he's gonna be a name that we're all gonna know by the end of the season. And I think as long as Lane Kiffin is there, the offense is gonna be able to move the ball and produce. I think the defense was the biggest question mark, and obviously they spent a lot of money last year to fix that, and they did. This year, is that defense gonna be as good? Probably not. Like not probably not, definitely not. Like it's gonna take a step back. That was one of the best defenses I'm sure Ole Miss has ever had in their program's history. So I do expect that defense to take a step back, but I still expect Ole Miss to be a tough out. Like I don't expect them to all of a sudden now be a 6-6 team. Um, I think A tier would be a little bit of a push, but I do put them along in that B tier with the Floridas, with the Oklahomas, with the A&Ms. I think Ole Miss is right in that mix. I think they're definitely a team that you have to be ready for.
I'm gonna have to put them in the B tier. I think they're gonna be pretty consistent, but I mean, if you go 9-3 with that team that they had last year, I mean, they lost to Kentucky. Come on, man. I think this is just
Yeah,
a
they lost to
disappointment.
Kentucky, Florida, and
What was it, Alabama or Texas?
go ahead. Sorry,
You know what I'm saying? What was the other
what the
team? It
last
was
team
Alabama
was.
and Texas, or
I
because
was
they beat Georgia, which is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember. I'm looking for it right now. I have to find it.
But yeah, like this team just can never. They're another one that can just never get to where they need to be. They had all the hype. All you had to do was beat Kentucky, and you would have been in the playoffs. And I think that team would have been dangerous in the playoffs. But they flopped. lost to Kentucky, and that was over. So I don't really, I don't really have much positive to say about this team. Like they're gonna be solid, but when it comes to Ole Miss, I don't really trust them to do anything. I just think they're gonna be a good football team, and that's it. Nothing really special.
Yeah. Their schedule at Kentucky, Arkansas at home, LSU at home, at Georgia, at Oklahoma, South Carolina at home, Florida at home, and then they travel to Mississippi State to end the year. So, um, decent schedule there. Got to play Florida, Oklahoma, Georgia, LSU, so to Kentucky. Maybe Kentucky sucks. I don't even know. I'm pretending like that's a game. But another team that sucks, Tennessee.
Oh, they lost to Ole Miss, remember, in overtime.
Who?
Ole Miss,
They lost to who?
LSU
LSU. It was a
last
field
year.
goal or something like that, right?
Huh?
It was like a field goal or something like that game, right?
It was in overtime, and it was what's
Was
his
it
name
rainy?
called?
Was that the bad weather game or was that the Georgia game?
No, the Georgia game was the bad weather game. This game
Okay.
was when what's the receiver name that caught the pass at the end?
Aaron Anderson?
No, the one who passed.
Oh, Kyron Lacey.
Yeah,
Yes,
Lacey. Rest in
yes,
peace, Colin Lacey. Yeah, he's the one who caught the
yes.
game-winning pass in overtime against Ole Miss.
Do remember that now. Let's talk about Tennessee though. Rocky Top. Um, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Obviously, Nico Imaviola. Say it. Nico Viola.
Huh?
I don't know if I said that right, but yeah,
Nico Yamaleava?
Nico yeah, I was
Iyamaleava.
trying to yeah, I can't say it. Yeah, yeah. I have
Nico, I am a
dyslexia.
leaving.
Nico, I am a leaving. I am Malavia. There we go. Yeah, with him leaving to UCLA, also Dylan Sampson going off to the NFL. Two key cogs in that Tennessee offense of attack. Um, just replacing him with Joey Aguilar. I guess he won the battle out over Jake Merklinger. I mean, I don't.
B.
I'm trying to find B.
You'll put them in C tier? You can't put them in C tier. They made the playoffs last year.
Oh, you're right. I can't put them in C tier, but I want to put them in C tier. I'm gonna put them at the bottom of the B tier because I
No,
just
they're
don't.
in B tier, but they're in danger of being in C tier, especially with this quarterback situation. I don't know how good Joey Aguilar is going to be. Um, like I think this is a team that's going to be solid. They probably going to win 7, 8 games, but they not going to be a threat to win the SEC or make the playoffs or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule. They do have a bit of an easy schedule, so I think that's gonna help them out. I'm not gonna call it easy schedule, but um, their week 1 game is Syracuse, but Syracuse might get them. Syracuse might get them in Atlanta. Um, they get Georgia week 3. They go to Mississippi State, Arkansas at home, at Alabama, at Kentucky, Oklahoma at home, at Florida, and then home against Vandy to end the year. So they play Georgia, they play Alabama. They'll be guaranteed underdogs in those 2 games. Other than that, when you look at it, week 1, you know what I mean. I think they'll be underdog maybe on the road against Florida. I don't know if they'll be home underdogs against Oklahoma. Maybe at that point in the season, if Oklahoma's really good and they're really bad, but um, I think their schedule is definitely going to help them out because I just don't see the talent on this Tennessee team. Like I don't think they recruit at a high enough level. They always sit around 11, 12, 13, 14 range, and while
Yeah,
that's good in the grand scheme of things, and is always going to have them as one of these top 25 teams when it comes to the SEC, where you have the top of the SEC recruiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just not going to cut it. And then when you're losing your impact players, especially at the quarterback position, I just now maybe it was a little bit of a messy breakup. Maybe the team kind of rallies around that and they have a chip on their shoulder and they go and they prove some people wrong. They win some games they maybe shouldn't. But I'm just not feeling Tennessee this year. I'm not. and I don't feel them any year. I really don't. But at least last year, you looked at the roster, you looked at the team, you looked at what they were returning. You felt confident that yeah, if things go right, Tennessee could be a playoff team, and sure enough. But this year, I mean, if things go right, 9 wins. That's best case scenario. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
9 wins in the SEC is able to sneak you into the playoffs again. But all right, go back to the
Eh,
playoffs and then lose
I
41 to
don't know.
17. I don't know. It's not enough. Their schedule's
Nine
not good enough.
wins. I mean, 9 wins doesn't guarantee you a playoff spot.
Anything?
So,
No, no, no. It
and
doesn't.
with that schedule,
It's not enough. You'd have to have an Oklahoma schedule, a Florida schedule, like somebody
I'm looking
crazy
at this
schedule.
schedule. I'm like, where they would have to beat Alabama, and they would have to.
Yeah,
I mean, they do have Oklahoma and Florida, but I
they
mean,
need
is
both of those teams to be
Oklahoma?
good.
Yeah, like you need
Exactly.
Oklahoma and Florida to have good records when you play them, and
Right. And then you need to
like
beat
I'm
both
more
of
worried
them.
about Oklahoma, but I just feel like the
Right.
Florida might not have a good record by then.
Yeah, we might not. We might be bad at that point. So like that's gonna
Yeah,
help
so
their resume. Yeah. So I don't see much for Tennessee in their future at all.
oh yeah, they do
Um,
play Georgia too. God damn.
a team whose future I do see a lot in South Kakalaka. Those boys, Baby Beamer, he got that program running. Last year, obviously, shocked the world with that big one over LSU and just played really well. Lenore Sellers kind of broke out. People that didn't know that name learned that name and saw the kind of guy that he was. That defense, especially that defensive line, just absolutely dominated with the breakout of Dylan Stewart. And obviously, he's coming back, future potential #1 overall pick. The guy's a freak, a demon. And then Lenore Sellers, like I said, he's coming back, one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country. I think he is probably out of the established quarterbacks, he's probably the best one. I think I'll take him over Nessmeyer. Obviously, like I mentioned, I think DJ Lagway and Arch Manning are probably the two best quarterbacks in the conference. We just have not seen it yet, so we can't really say that. But we have seen um, from Nussmeier, we have seen from the Norris Sellers now full season's worth of work, and I think just based on their production, based on what we've seen on film, those are the top two. And like I said, I think I'm going to take the Norris Sellers. Even John Mateer, you can throw in that conversation as well, but I'm going to take Sellers as the top quarterback right now in the SEC, and um, I think that bodes well for any team. Whoever has the top quarterback in the conference usually is going to be a factor in that conference, and um, I don't think, if anything, I think South Carolina is going to build on what they did last year. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit worried about that wide receiver room. Nick Harbor, I don't see it. I don't see it when it comes to him. He's a size speed freak, so I think he should have some production and should be like a bit of a reliable weapon. But I really think they need somebody else to break out in that wide receiver room and really become a wide receiver one type. Or maybe it is going to be Nick Harbor, but I just don't love the way he runs his routes. I don't think he really has that much control on his body that well. He has pretty solid hands. Like I said, he could jump high. He can run really fast. He's a huge guy, but um, I think they need someone to take that next step in that wide receiver room. Outside of
Great
that, I
video
think
game player.
yeah, he's a freak in the video game. I'll say that's for sure. Um, but then on the defensive line, like I mentioned, or just defense in general, Dylan Stewart, um, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, he's a beast. Um, I think they're going to be good. I think they're an A-tier team. I think they're a bit better than the Floridas, the Oklahomas, the A&Ms. I think obviously they're not that much better. I think they're like probably a field goal favorite, less than a touchdown favorite in certain situations, depending on who's home, who's in away. But I think South Carolina should be competing and should be a factor in this SEC title race. I don't necessarily going to call them a favorite, which is why I won't put them in the S tier, but I think they're right below there, and they should be kind of like LSU, a team that we expect to maybe be competing for this championship. Do you agree? No, B tier.
I mean, A tier
Yeah.
to me, A tier is like I think the hard part to me is South Carolina had one really good season. That was like their best year probably since I've been alive. I'm probably gonna keep them in B tier. I think this is another team that's got a lot of hype,
Okay.
and I think they could flop, man. Like I think it's more likely that they flop than they have a 10-win season.
Mm.
I really do. Like
Like
I hope they
I
have a
can
10-win season,
I
but
can see
I
that.
just don't see it.
I think if there's a step that is taken back, it's from that defense. Obviously, they lose a lot in that front seven. A bunch of their D linemen in the front and their linebackers they lost, but they brought in a bunch of transfers. I think their secondary, should be solid. Um, but I don't know. I don't worry about the offense. I think if anything, it's going to be the defense. And I don't know. I guess you're right. Where they haven't consistently proven that they're like an A tier. I don't think they're an A tier program necessarily, but I do think coming into this season they're similar to like Florida. I think them and Florida are the two. I guess maybe they're at the top of B tier with Florida. Like they can maybe wind up in that 10 wins, 11 wins, but
Yeah, yeah. South Carolina and Florida are kind of the same team in that regard to me.
yeah, they both have very high ceilings. But I guess they both have very low floors at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, I think the difference would be the schedule. Let's check out South Carolina's schedule. They
They have a
open
lot of
up,
tough games.
yeah. I mean, they open up week one, neutral site, Virginia Tech, um, Vandy week three, at Missouri week four, Kentucky week five. So some SEC East action to open up the season. Then they get a bye week before they travel to LSU. That's a tough one. Oklahoma and Alabama at home back to back weeks, two more tough ones. And then they travel to Ole Miss. So that 4 game stretch right there at LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama at home, and then at Ole Miss. And then they get a bye, and then they go at Texas A&M before ending the year with Clemson. So if they come out this schedule with 9, 10 wins, they're legit. I'll tell you that. Because you're right, that's not an easy schedule at all. Um, Another team we're trying to find out if they are legit or not is Auburn. Under Hugh Freeze, so far they have not been. And I think this is a make or break year for Hugh Freeze. I think Auburn is a program that, just like most of these programs in the SEC, has high expectations, expects to be, competing for SEC championships or at least be competitive, against the top of the SEC. And they just simply have not been under Hugh Freeze in his second tenure so far. Now, bringing in uh, Jackson Arnold, as well as Ashton Daniels from Stanford, as well as I think Deuce Knight, right? He's the 5-star freshman that's over at Auburn as well.
Yeah,
Um, I think that quarterback room is the best it's been in a long time at Auburn. I think that's been a key contributor to their demise over the past X amount of years. Even back with Brian Harson, they just haven't had a reliable quarterback. They haven't had a game changer at quarterback. Um, and I'm not going to sit here and say Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, or Deuce Knight is that. I think if any of the three are going to be that, it's obviously Deuce Knight. He has the highest profile, or the highest rated profile. He's the one with the ceiling. But I mean, Jackson Arnold was also a pretty highly touted quarterback, and I watched a decent amount of Stanford over these past couple of years. Ashton Daniels can ball out, flat out. He's a good player. Um, I don't know if he's SEC quarterback, but he could play. So I think this quarterback room should at least bring a little bit more stability to this team. And I think if not anything, that'll just help Auburn keep their head above water instead of like constantly feel like they're drowning. They'll be able to like tread water a little bit and not feel so terrible on offense. And I mean, Cam Coleman, he returns. He's one of the more dynamic young wide receivers in the country, as well as adding Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech. That is one of the better wide receiver duos in the SEC. So, like I mentioned, upgraded at the quarterback, got talent out wide now. I think I think this is a chance that Auburn's offense can finally take that next step and really elevate them. Um, but just as bad as the offense has been, the defense has been just as bad, man. The defense has not been any better. And while they got talent, Kendrick Falk, Demarcus Riddick, um, guys like that, I just don't know how they're going to be um, under defensive coordinator DJ Durkin this year. We'll see. Um, Auburn, I feel like they do have potential to be in that B tier, um, and win, 8 9 games. But I think they're probably still closer to the 6 or 7 win team than they are to the 9 win team. So that would, I guess, put them in the C tier. But
Yeah, I'm
I
going with C
don't
tier.
necessarily view them that much different than I view a team like Tennessee, to be honest. So what do you think, Steph?
But Tennessee has had much more recent success than Auburn.
Auburn, right? Tennessee was in the playoffs last year, so
Yeah, and even in 2022, I mean, their quarterback got hurt. That kind of derailed things. But like we've
yeah,
seen
but had to
Tennessee
put the
have the
ball in it,
potential to
right?
be one of the best teams in the country. Um,
Right.
we just haven't seen that from Auburn in a long time and under Hugh Freeze. Like you said, they got a lot of talented players. We know what type of player Cam Coleman is now. Eric Singleton, great wide receiver. Um, Jackson Arnold, I think, is still a big question mark. I mean, he got
Right.
thrown in there at Oklahoma, and quite frankly, a situation that was not very good. But didn't really play well. Got benched. I wonder about his confidence and how he's doing
Right.
mentally.
We
And
all we
even if
also don't mean to cut you off. We saw the clip of Hugh Freeze slamming his headset in practice the other day. I mean, that's normal and
I
all
thought
that,
that
but
was a
just for
normal
that to
clip,
go
though.
viral, like I
I
wonder how
thought that
that
was a
weighs on
normal
his
clip.
head. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was just the internet kind of trying to fish for a
doing the
viral
internet
moment, but
for
I
sure,
didn't really
for
think there
sure.
was anything of note in that clip. Honestly, like,
Right.
I just, I just wonder about like if something does happen and maybe they lose a game or like even within the sequence of a game, if they have a few bad possessions that his if his mental state kind of gets shot and he kind of just folds in a situation that isn't the best. I wonder if that's going to happen. Um, I don't know for sure if that's going to happen. I don't hope that's going to happen by any stretch. Like I just wonder if at a because it's no different at a place like Auburn. Like they have a rabid fan base. They expect their program to win. They've seen this team win national championships and be in the mix of national championships in our lifetime. So I don't understand. Like I don't know um, how Jackson Arnold is going to handle that because a lot of times you'll see when people transfer, maybe it didn't go as well at a certain place. Then if they transfer, they kind of transfer to a different environment. But I don't really think Auburn is much of a different environment than Oklahoma. Like I said, they fans and boosters and everybody still expects you to win. And if you're bad, then they're gonna let you know about it. So um, I think this team is gonna go bowling. I'm looking at their schedule. Baylor's gonna be a tough game. A lot of people are picking Baylor to win that. Um, you got to play Oklahoma. You got to play Georgia. Um, got to play Alabama. So who knows? I mean, this is a schedule where even if they lose to Georgia and Alabama, I mean, if you win the games you're supposed to win as Auburn, this could be a 10-2 team. I think if
It's funny.
everybody
It's
plays
funny
to
to
their
hear.
potential, huh?
Right. No, I'm saying that's funny to hear, but I guess you're not wrong.
I mean, like, I don't really think that's going to happen, but
Right.
I mean, because you can't trust Oklahoma, you can't trust A&M, you can't trust Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky stink. I'm not worried about Vanderbilt. I mean, it's just Alabama and Georgia really where I feel like those are the two teams that would be heavily favored over them. But other than that, I don't think that any of those teams, even if they're favored, they should be heavily favored. I feel like Auburn should have a really good chance to win all these games. Like I said, you got Baylor, A&M, Mizzou. I think those are the three games that are probably Baylor, Oklahoma, A&M, and Mizzou are the four games that I think are going to define their season. I think if they win all those games, then they have a chance to do something special. If they go 3-1, I think they have a chance to still have a really successful season. But if they split those, I think it's going to be tough. But if they finish 8-4, how do you think the fans are going to react? I think they're bringing a lot in, so people expect something better than that. But at the end of the day, 8-4 is better than what they did last year. So I think you kind of have to be happy with that.
Yeah, I would be as well. Um, Honestly, with 8 wins, I from where they've been, you know, so
I mean, they've kind of been down in the dumps recently. So, I
yeah.
mean, that whole quarterback debacle last year was just so ridiculous. So, I feel like they can't do worse than that. So they at least gonna go bowling.
Yeah, and I think they will this year. I think they definitely are a team that is capable of bowling for sure. A team that I'm not so sure is gonna go bowling this year is Arkansas.
Oh, they not going bowling.
Yeah, just
Put them in the D tier already.
Just
Pause.
yeah, just a D-tier team. Tough schedule, not a lot of talent. I think their offensive line should be solid. I mean, Sam Pittman always is going to have a good offensive line, but um,
Taylor Green should transfer.
Taylor Green is just he's good, and maybe he'll improve a bit in year two under Bobby Petrino. And like again, like I really don't think the kid is that bad, but outside of him, like who was he throwing the ball to? Who was he handing the
I just
ball
think this
off
is a
to? He
roster
just
that doesn't have any talent.
None. And on the defense side of the ball, you know, they got some players. Jaheim Singletary. They brought in Justice Boone in the portal from Florida on the D line, Xavier and Sori. They got a couple of names on defense, but it's just not enough to sustain. They have no depth, and in the SEC and in the Big Ten and these top conferences, that's what you need. Like you don't only need playable starters; you need playable backups. Because you can't have your starters playing 60, 70, 80 snaps a game. That's just not going to work, even if they're the best. Even if Arkansas had the best 22 players, but if they had no one else after that, it's still going to be tough to put together a full season. And just roster wise, Arkansas is just nowhere equipped to take on this SEC schedule right now. I mean, at Ole Miss to open up SEC play. They get Notre Dame at home, so taking on another top out of conference school at Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn at home, at LSU, at Texas, and then Missouri to end the year at home. So, I mean, just off rip, I can probably imagine about 6 losses right here. So,
They're probably gonna go 3-9. I feel like their peak is their hope is 4-8 because, like you said, you went through that schedule. I mean, Alabama, A&M, Arkansas State should be 2 wins. Memphis should be a win. They played Notre Dame in the non-con. Like, why did they do that? And um, Mississippi State is a maybe. Like, other than that, I don't really see another game they can win on this schedule. So I feel like if they beat Mississippi State, that's maybe. But at that point in the season, they might be cooked. I mean, Mississippi State might be cooked too. So you might just be battle of ass at that point,
right.
where both teams are just trying to win any game they can. So who knows?
Yeah. D tier for sure. It's an uphill battle for Arkansas. They're looking really to do much. Um, Now let's talk about Missouri, a team that we do seem to be a little bit split on. And again, I think Missouri is going to be better than what some people expect. I think they're a B tier team, to be honest. I think people forget they won 10 games last year, and they returned 15 starters from that team. Obviously, they're losing Brady Cook, they're losing Luther Burden, they're losing what was the running back's name? I forget what his name was, but
The white dude.
not the white dude. Was it the white dude? Oh
Was he
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
23 or 24?
But that was from a couple years ago. That's not. I'm talking about Nate Noel. That's who I'm talking about. The white dude was Cody Schrader. That was from 2023.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they bring back 9 starters from that defense. Um, they bring in transfer wide receiver Kevin Coleman from Mississippi State, who I think is a very solid wide receiver one. He's no Luther Burden, but I think they're going to be able to replace some of that production at wide receiver. Ahmad Hardy at running back they bring in. I think he's going to be fantastic for them as well. And the quarterback position that's where the question mark lies, and that's where if you want to sit here and tell me, well, I'm not going to trust their quarterback, so they're going to want to be an Auburn from last year, and they're going to win 5 games. I can see that. Like I'm not going to sit here and say you're wild for predicting that, but I just think that Eli Drinkowitz is going to have his team ready to play. They kind of always seem to play better when they're counted out and the underdogs. And I just see them somehow, winning 8 games. Their schedule um, is manageable as well. Um, Their out of conference game is against Kansas. They get South Carolina week 5 at home, Alabama at home. They travel to Auburn and to Vanderbilt back to back weeks, but those are two programs again that are in similar positions, trying to rebuild, trying to actually establish who they're going to be for the future, not teams that are really looking to compete and win right now. Then they get Texas A&M at home, um, and then they end the year at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. So like, I mean, the toughest team on their schedule is Alabama, who they get at home. Other than that, I don't think we have a single team above a B tier on their schedule. So I really do think Missouri can wind up again 8 wins, just led by a strong veteran defense, and then just figuring it out at quarterback. I think they're gonna have enough around the quarterback to score points.
Yeah, I think this is a B tier team. They did have a solid season last year, going 10-3 with that bowl win over Iowa. But I still feel like it was a disappointment because they should have been in the 12-team playoff with that schedule.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
and then when
That's a
you
good
look at
point.
these games, I mean, they were barely winning a lot of games, man. I mean, they beat Boston College by one score. They beat
They were close with
Vanderbilt
Vandy
in
too.
two overtimes.
Yeah,
They got
that Vandy game
smacked
was
by
crazy.
A&M, 41-10. Got blown out by A&M.
Right.
Barely beat Auburn. Got smacked by Alabama 34-0. Barely beat Oklahoma. Mind you, we're coming to the end of the season, so Oklahoma was injured. Barely beat South. They lost to South Carolina. See, that was the one by one score. Lost to South
Yeah.
Carolina, um, and barely beat Arkansas by one score. So you got to think when a team is winning these one score games, like what if all that just went the other way? And instead of winning the one score games, you're losing. Or you kind of start splitting them, like, yeah, you're in these one score games, but you're not winning all of them, you're winning most of them. So I got to keep them in B tier. I don't think this is like a playoff sleeper or anything like that. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be around 8 wins, maybe even 9, but I don't think they make the playoffs because their schedule is so weak. And that's one thing about the SEC, especially because they play 8 games still. There's so many teams that everybody doesn't play the same kind of schedule. So, it's something people always talk about. Oh, they're in the SEC. They're in the SEC. They play the tough SEC. Not always. Not always. If you don't play all the best teams in your league, that's not a tough schedule. It's not a tough schedule. Yeah, Florida has a tough schedule. Oklahoma has a tough schedule. Mizzou does not have a tough schedule. Okay?
Right.
This team should be a 10-win team. Period. They're not gonna be though. So, you always have to take that into account. You can't just look at the conference. It's not like the old days where if you knew what conference the team was in, you knew their schedule for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But the SEC has so many teams now. Same thing with the Big Ten, and but it's even more of an issue in the SEC because they play 8 games. So you're really not playing the same teams as everybody. So you really got to look at the schedule and like these teams that we're talking about. There is a stark contrast, between a lot of these schedules. So Mizzou, I gotta keep them in B tier. We know they're gonna be solid, but I don't think they're
Yeah.
a playoff team. And what's his name is a damn clown talking about they should have. What did he say?
24
24
14 playoff.
teams in the playoff. No, you just saying that so
He
you
said
can
it should
win
be
8
settled on the
games to make.
field
Yeah, it is settled on the field. Win a damn
in the
game, that
regular
maybe you'll
season.
make the
Right.
playoffs. What are you talking
Right.
about? It is settled on the
Right.
field.
Thank you.
So please stop saying this BS so you could be in there like it's gonna help you. It's not gonna help you. You're just
Right.
gonna lose in
It's
the
not
first
gonna help
round
you.
anyways. So, you know, I'm not that high on Mizzou. I feel like a lot of people are trying to pick them as a sleeper. Well, I'm sleep.
Let's talk about a sleeper from last year, Vandy, team that really shocked the world on multiple occasions last year. Just really became maybe America's team. Just super endearing. Got behind Diego Pavia, just a really fiery personality, a fun quarterback to watch. He was granted his 12th year of eligibility, so he returns. Um, Vanderbilt also returns their top two running backs. Uh, not no, not their top two. They return all their running backs, their top two wide receivers, and Eli Stowers, who's one of the top tight ends in the country. They lost 4 starters on their offensive line, but they brought in 6 transfers, 4 of them being full-time starters, and I know Clark Lee has mentioned that he believes his offensive line and defensive line are the best he's had in his 5 years um, at Vanderbilt. Now, obviously, well, I do think there is probably some truth to that because they're probably the most talented players that they've had here at Vandy so far. We talk about, especially on the O line, 5 equals 1, continuity, chemistry, and just these offensive lines that don't have a lot of experience together just usually take some time, and that's such an important position. So still a little bit of a question mark for me. Um, while again, I think the individual players are probably more talented as a collective than Vanderbilt has had. How they work as that collective, I don't know how well they're going to work yet. Maybe they're going to be great. Um, maybe from week 1 they'll be great, but maybe they won't be great from week 1. Um, and Vandy's a team where they need to start hot and they need to win as many games out of the gate as possible, and they need to get to 6 wins as quick as you know what I mean. So they have as many chances as
Mm-hmm.
they can get to bowl eligibility. So, but I think again, I think this is Vandy's best team they've had to roster. I mean, they are so experienced. I mean, like I just said, they return almost everybody on offense pretty much, um, except for the offensive line. All their weapons, the quarterback, all come back. On the defense, all their linebackers come back. Everybody in their secondary comes back. They had to reconstruct the D line a little bit as well, but they brought in transfers from Texas, Bama, BYU. Again, just if they're not at Texas, if they're not at Bama anymore, it's probably because they weren't good enough. But no, not necessarily. You know, some people transfer and become great players for the new program. So that's awesome to see. And I think Vandy is a C-tier team. I think they're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility. I think they have another shot to go bowling, to win 6 games, to win 7 games maybe. Take a look at the schedule in a second, but I think they're not D tier. I think they have officially cemented themselves in that C tier.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Looking at their schedule right now, I mean, I'm looking for the wins. Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State,
I
and
will say they
Kentucky should be
they
wins. They
they
play
played Virginia
against
Tech
Virginia Tech,
real
could
well
be another
last
one.
year.
They
Yeah,
did win that, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to win that. I mean, last year it was tough.
at yeah, Sandstorm playing that stadium's
Yeah,
gonna be jumping.
and it's in Blacksburg. That's gonna be a tough game to win. So,
I think they might be able to get Auburn. They get Auburn at home for homecoming. I think that'll be a game they might be able to win.
ooh,
Kentucky at home is another game
they
in
also
the
play
SEC.
Tennessee.
They also play Tennessee. They got to go
Tennessee
to
could be
Tennessee though. But
Tennessee
they,
could be
hey,
one.
yeah. So
Yo, we don't
right
know what
there.
they're gonna be like. This the last game of the year. Tennessee has. I don't think they're gonna be that great at quarterback. I think that game might be a low scoring game, and I think if Vandy is close, and if they got 5 wins at that point in the season, they're gonna be throwing everything at that team to win that game. So, I think Vandy has a good shot at going bowling. Honestly, they just gotta win 2 conference games, man.
Yeah. I like I said, Auburn, Kentucky, maybe Tennessee. That's three. That's 3 games right there. If they can win 2 out of 3 of those, I believe. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna be excited to watch some of those Vandy matchups this year for sure. Uh, I like them in the C tier. Let's talk a little bit about Kentucky, although there's not much to talk about here. Um,
D tier ass.
yeah, pretty ass. I think they have some bright spots, like on their offensive line. I think they have some pretty solid players. Should have an okay O line. On the outside, Kendrick Law coming over from Alabama, Harley Gilmore, a rising sophomore, 2 wide receivers that should be able to create. Um, but outside of that, man, there's just not much to love, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and that's really where I feel like Kentucky made a lot of their bread and butter for those years where they were pretty decent, but it just doesn't look good. They returned 3 starters in the secondary, um, which should help, but their linebacker unit is going to be, and just their front seven in general is going to be so much less talented and experienced than it has been in the past. Um, I'm not expecting Kentucky to do much this year. D tier as well for me. Um, Keep their schedule real quick, then we can move on to our last team, who's also probably going to be joining the D tier. But They play Ole Miss week 2 at home, and they play at South Carolina, at Georgia. That's probably 2 losses right there. And they go to Tech. They get Texas at home, loss. Play Tennessee at Auburn, Florida at home, at Vandy, and at Louisville to end the year. So a pretty tough schedule, all things considered, especially for a team like Kentucky. Yeah, I don't see a bowl game in their future. And then finally, we end here with Mississippi State. Um, it's another team. I like their coach. I like Jeff Lebby. When we played them last year, I think Mississippi State played us a lot better than I expected. I mean, Florida wasn't great last year, so I'm not going to use us as some like measuring meter stick or something like that. But I did kind of like a little bit of what I saw from Mississippi State last year. I thought they just didn't have enough on either side of the ball, especially in the trenches. It's probably more of the same again this year. But I, I think maybe in the future Mississippi State can kind of move up into that C tier and get out the gutter. I think this year I still would have to put them in the D tier based off what I know or what I don't know about them. But they were 2-10 last year. I think they can only go up from here. And they return boatload of starters, 18 starters or 17 starters, something like that. So which is nice. But again, 17 starters from a team that went 2-10. I mean, how excited are you really for that? Probably not at all. So don't need to spend much more time about them unless you have any thoughts on Mississippi State.
Yeah, no, I just think they're going to be bad.
I can agree. All right, that will do it for our SEC tier list. Then let me go ahead and run through these tiers, um, just in case, just as a little rundown, as a reminder. In the S tier, we have 3 teams. We have Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. In the A tier, we have 1 team. LSU sits there alone. In the B tier, we have South Carolina, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Missouri. In that C tier, we have Auburn and Vandy. And then at the bottom in the D tier, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. I think that's a pretty solid tier list, to be honest. Can't hate on that tier list. Um, all right, let's transition to Clown of the Week before we close out this show. Right? Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we hop over to Clown of the Week?
No, I think we hit everything in regards to the
All right.
SEC.
I actually have a couple Clowns of the Week, so this should be a fun one. I don't know if you have any entries,
I
but
do have two.
it's everybody's favorite segment. It is Clown of the Week. It's time for Clown of the Week. Now, you said you have two. I said I have two. I'm pretty sure we both have at least one of the same. Honestly, both of these guys might be the same. But I'll
I
start
doubt the
off.
second one of mine is the same as yours.
Okay, well, I'll start off with John Mateer. I'm assuming that's one of your clowns.
No, no, it wasn't actually.
Okay, well, I'll start us off then since I brought it up. Obviously, let's talk a little bit about John Mateer. No, we're not going to talk about how good he is on the football field. We're going to talk about some of the stuff he's been taking part of off the field. Now, if you haven't seen, there's been a bit of a scandal going on where people have decided to kind of check out people's Venmo's accounts. And when I mean people's, I mean these college quarterbacks' Venmo's accounts. And if you know anything about Venmo, when you send money or when you receive money, Venmo requires that you add a little note, usually for what you're buying or what you're sending money for. Um, and it's something that I do myself with my friends and my cousins and my brothers and people like that. I'll put whatever in the note as well. Like I troll sometimes in the note. I don't really always put what I'm sending that money for, whether it's food or groceries or whatever. Um, and whether John Mateer is the same as me or not, once people were doing some investigating on his Venmo, a lot of the notes for some of the transactions, some of the money that he was sending was sports gambling. And one specific was UCLA versus USC in the note, and then on the same day as that game took place. So just a lot of speculation now going on, seeing if he was betting and all that. And obviously, he came out and he said that I've never bet in my life, and I believe the guy. I'm sure he was. He was just trolling. But my thing is like, guys, and we talk about this, and not just for this, just for anything. If this is the path that you decide you want to take in life, if you're in middle school, if you're in high school, and you decide I want to take football serious, and you start going to these high school circuits, and you start going to these 7-on-7s, and you start getting recruited by these teams, and you decide that you want to go play college football, you have to realize, you have to understand that you are now in the public light. You are going to become a public figure where people, weird people, are going to be searching for stuff like this. So you need to carry yourself on public platforms and in public areas like that. You know you're a quarterback. You know you're a starting quarterback. You know there's fans. You know people are going to be looking for stuff to start up some kind of controversy. So why are you putting that you're sending people money for cocaine and weed and sports? Like that is just not smart. That's just dumb. That's just not good business. That's bad business. And what happens when there's enough bad business? You run out of business. So John Mateer and anybody out there, stop being dumbasses. You guys, unfortunately, cannot act like kids like the rest of us can, because that is the life that you decided to choose. And more power to you, because it's a great life. I mean, being an athlete is what many people dream to be. And you're in a great position because you work to be in that position. So don't go throwing it all away over a $20 Venmo that you sent to your friend for who knows what. But now you're being investigated by Las Vegas for sports gambling. Like that's just clown behavior. Be better. Be better. Any thoughts on that? 'Cause I know you know a little bit about that situation.
Yeah, I just think it's dumb to be having stuff like that on public record. You don't joke around with the sports betting thing because we see how serious these leagues take this. I mean, we literally just we had on Clown of the Week a guy get banned from the NBA for sports gambling. We talked about
Yep.
various football players with the same thing going on. Like, don't engage. Like, don't even joke about it. Okay, it's just dumb. Like, I get it. You just might be having fun with your friends. Oh, send them money for Mets. Like, just don't put sports betting, please. Okay.
Yeah, like you could have put XYZ and we could have moved on. Like, and they were looking same with Arch and like this is also just people being weird again. Like again, I don't want to sit here and act like John Mateer was doing something like super outlandish. I mean, again, it was a little dumb, but you're not necessarily thinking about it in the moment. But um, yeah, that is my first clown of the week. I'll let you go ahead and get your first clown of the week off, and then I'll go ahead with my second.
So my first clown of the week, and I'm pretty sure this clip came out today, because I don't really keep up with NFL preseason or anything like that. But it's Abdul Carter. Now there is a clip that's kind of going viral of him getting pancaked twice on the same play. But that's not really why he's a clown. Because look, sometimes you get hit. It's football. You might get knocked on your butt. It's part of the game. But the reason why he's a clown is because he quoted on Twitter. He quoted the video of him getting pancaked and said that might be the only highlight of the Jets all season. And we put BTA, which means belt to ass for those who don't know. He said weak ass chip and ate that MF like BBQ. No, you didn't. You literally got pancaked by a chip. You came off the line. I don't even know who this tight end is. And he just destroyed you. Knocked you on your butt. You tried to get up, and then the right tackle just pushed him down. Like, that wasn't weak, and you didn't eat anything like BBQ. You were the BBQ. You got BBQ'd. You got cooked. Like, listen, it happens. You don't have to go on Twitter and quote tweet things and act like something didn't happen. We all see you getting
Yeah, it's
cooked.
football.
It happens, bro. You're a first round draft pick. We know what type of player you were in college. All the potential in the world. But don't sit up there and try to say you ate something you didn't eat. Because no, you got destroyed. Like, that was definitely a welcome to the NFL moment because whoever, even though it's still preseason, those people that's on the other side are other NFL players as well. I don't know if they the starters or what, but those are still other people who were the best at their college. So you got to think they gonna be some guys too. So yeah, sometimes you might get knocked down. It happens, but don't make a fool out of yourself over it. Just move on and then next time try to get a sack. So that's all I got to say about that.
My second clown of the week is a high school recruit currently that goes by the name of Isaiah Williams. And this guy, I mean, it's hard to call him a clown. He's 17, 18, right? So, but whoever's in his corner, they're clowns because let me take you through this guy's recruiting history. So, last year, Isaiah Williams, four-star linebacker from Florida, committed to Louisville. About a month and a half, 2 months later, he decommitted from Louisville and committed to Syracuse. A few months after that, he decommitted from Syracuse and he committed to Florida State. A few months after that, he decommits from Florida State and he commits to Florida. A few months after that, he flips to Ole Miss. And now again, a few months after that, last week, he flips back to Florida State. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different commitments, 3 decommitments, and 2 flips. And his senior year of high school has not even began yet. He's class of 2026. Like, he's not going to be in college until next year. What are we doing? Like what are we doing? Like, seriously. Uh, this, what, Stefan, you're a coach. Like, if you're a coach, do you take this kid's commitment? Like, if he comes on a visit to Oregon and you're the Oregon head coach, do you even want to take this kid? Now, again, he's a four-star linebacker. I think he's ranked as, like, a top 5 linebacker in the country by both sites. So he's a good player. But, like, again, 6 different commitments, 3 decommitments, and 2 flips. And
I mean,
in one
maybe I
side,
would I would recruit him, but I wouldn't put all my eggs into one basket in regards to him, if that makes sense. Like I would probably recruit him, but I wouldn't try to say like, oh, did like I wouldn't bank on him coming to my school because I know his history. So I would still recruit other linebackers.
it's
Like
just,
I wouldn't try to play the numbers game like, oh, I'm only gonna bring in 2 backers because this guy is gonna commit. Like no, like I would probably bring in extra ones because I know that there's a high chance that this dude doesn't stay with us.
and it's always that the kids that have crazy dramatic ass recruitments like this,
I
they're
mean, but
always
I'm gonna be honest
ass.
though. Well, I mean, you asked me if I'm the coach at Oregon. I mean, no disrespect, but I feel like if this dude is committed to Louisville and Syracuse, he's probably not even the caliber of player that Oregon is even going after. Depending. I mean, look. I mean, we flip guys from Cal this cycle. Like this staff evaluates, does their own. They do their own evaluations. So I mean,
I think
maybe.
it's more these kids need to just stay focused, man. I get the recruitment is fun, like going on these visits, I'm sure is
Yeah.
amazing, but like
I mean, look. You can go on all the visits you want, but it's
exactly, but
like
you don't gotta commit and decommit
don't
after
commit
every
to
visit.
50 schools before
Yeah, bro.
you really know what's going on. And we don't know what the parent situation is like. Something that I think gets lost in the shuffle when we're talking about a lot of these players, and especially when you're in high school, is that their parents might not know a goddamn thing about
Yeah,
sports or college sports or
that's
anything.
real.
So
Could be their first
we don't
experience in
know
this
what
whole
type of
world.
advice he's getting. We don't know
Right.
what's going on in his brain or his family's brain. They might just be thinking, oh, Syracuse offered, commit. Louisville offered, you commit to them. Like,
Yeah.
not knowing how any of this works, where it's like, okay, if you decommit from a place like that, they might pull your offer. Like, you know what I'm saying? You might not be able to just
Put yourself in a
decommit
spot.
somewhere. Yeah,
Right.
like so I don't know. Like he is really young, so I try not to be too hard on everybody.
Right,
Like,
right.
cause like I said, we don't like they're really young. They're
And
16,
that's why I
17
preface
years
it with that. I'm
old.
like, the kid's in high school, so it's hard to really
Yeah,
Lauren
we don't
McClown,
know
because he
what his
doesn't
parents are
know,
like.
but
Like everybody's parents ain't football junkies like mine. Like you
right,
know what I'm saying?
right,
Like if I was being recruited by a bunch of people, my parents would tell me like don't commit and then be decommitting and things like that. Not saying you're not allowed to, but just like
right.
really take the time to think about what you're doing because like this is important. Like this is a really big decision. Like choosing a college is a really big decision. So you
It's
don't
a
want to
40-year, not
yeah,
4 years.
exactly. And you have to think about the future beyond that, right? Like depending on what college you go to, that affects your job, the jobs that you could be getting, that affects the network of people that you're going to be connected to. Like it could affect where you're living in the future. Like
Yeah,
those are things that are hard to think about when you're a teenager. So that's why I'm just like, look, you like we don't know a lot of things going around, but it does get a little ridiculous when you see every other week a guy is committing or decommitting from all these places. And it's like at some point it's like, well, why is anybody
clout
even
chasing.
recruiting them? Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why are
Well,
you
there's a
still
lot
at
of
it?
that too, where people commit to a school because he gets some clout. But
Hayes Fawcett as edits like
yeah, yeah,
on 3 posts about that. I'm like, bro,
right, right. So I just think it can get a little ridiculous, and people need to take it a little bit more serious, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people just kind of throw that stuff around, not really realizing, you know, that even if you have a bunch of offers, like none of this stuff is guaranteed. And, I've heard of players getting their offers pulled. So,
yeah.
you know,
But all right, finish us off here, Steph. Who is your final clown of the week?
okay. So, my final clown of the week is the Arizona State um, official sports media team. They posted something. I mean, not Arizona State. Sorry, that's what I
It
said. I meant
wasn't.
to
No,
say.
yeah, it wasn't Arizona State.
I meant to say Kansas State.
Right.
They posted something about their stadium on Twitter, and
Reviews. They posted
right,
pictures of their stadium with like reviews about their stadium, like on the pictures. Like it was
and it turns
graphics.
out that it wasn't four different reviews. It was a bunch of statements just taken from one review, and someone pointed that out on social media and actually posted the review, and it's like all these sentences, and it's like, and they
They got
basically just
community
clowning them,
noted.
and it's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
got caught, and someone even said in the comments said not to mention that this review was made just a few days ago, so it was probably just someone that made it
Fake.
for the graphic. So it's like y'all trying to fabricate reviews for y'all own stadium. Like y'all couldn't find actual good reviews. Like this is Kansas State we're talking about. Thousands of people have been to the stadium. Like I feel like it wouldn't have been hard to find four good reviews about the stadium on the internet. Like this is Kansas State we're talking about. They have a good fan base, a rich history of football. Like I don't understand why the media team would do something like this. Like listen, man, you can't. When it comes to the internet, these people are detectives. Okay, people know how to find anything. And
Anything.
people do this for free. Imagine people that get paid to find people. So, I know we've all seen like those people on the internet that can guess a place on Google Earth just based off like a picture and stuff like that anywhere in the world. Like it gets crazy out here. So, you know, don't be a liar, don't be a fabricator because if you're doing that on the big stage like Kansas State, I mean, their athletic page has 156,000 followers. Like somebody probably looked at that and was like, "Hold up, are y'all playing with me right now?" And this
It was
tweet is
probably a
still
hater. It
up,
was
by the
probably a
way.
Kansas fan or something.
I know, right? Like this tweet is still up, by the way. I mean, I don't understand how stuff like this happens, but yeah,
Oh
man.
man.
If we see clownery, we gonna call it out. It's been a drought for a while, but I think we're back.
Yeah, I think we're back. I think we're definitely back. That's for sure. Um, yeah, and we're back and the season's back, man. Like I said earlier in this episode, we are less than a week away from week 0, 2 weeks away from week 1, where the whole entire country will be kicking off. We'll be able to watch our favorite alma maters, our favorite schools, and their traditions, and just soak it all in, man. college football is special. It is really one of a kind sport in America. I mean, I'm I've been getting into European soccer, into football a lot more over the past year or two, and I think a big reason why I've been into football, into soccer, is just like the fanfare and just the pageantry and just all that goes on um, at a normal game. You know what I mean? Like just any random Saturday fixture, like these two teams and their fans, could be playing like their lives are on the line, shooting off fireworks and chanting. And I think college football is really the closest thing that we have to that here in America. I think it truly is special, just the pageantry, just all the fanfare and the different chants and the different traditions. And I'm really excited to dive back all into that over these next couple of months because it's special, it's fun. And yeah, we will be with you guys again, third season in a row, through it all. We doing 2 episodes a week. Once the season kicks back off, we'll do a picks episode. We make all of our picks, make all of our predictions, and then we'll have a reaction episode where we talk about what actually happened, break down all of the news and things of that nature. So those will be starting up in just a couple of weeks. Till then, stay tuned for our Big Ten tier list as well as our conference winner predictions, our playoff predictions, and so forth. Um, until then, we will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Pigskin Live. Um, until then, peace.